Hello, Saturday. Joker chart. And it's easy to read now. We know all about the coloured string, all the other recessions since the Second World War, the red one, this one that's still going on, current employment recession, and it's at the -3% mark. And we know that in the United States, unemployment has gone down to 7.7%. So we can presume that the 0% line for this recession was set at 4.7. That's what it was before the recession started, 4.7. It's 3% worse than that now at 7.7%, and that's where it is. So it's got still 3% to go to get back up, and it's got a long way to go. But it is always heading in the right direction. I thought it had flattened out a bit, but it's kept on going up. Good. Next, federal withholding tax collections. Always a good way to look at these things because you can't cheat on your federal withholding tax. These are increases, and for this year mainly, for 2012, and early in the year it was 3-4% increase, and it's finishing the year at 4-5% increase. So that's quite good as well. It's showing that people are working and paying a bit more tax. JOLTS. Job openings and labour turnover survey, quite important. JOLTS, these are job openings in thousands, so it's 4 million jobs. Going back to 2002, where coming out of the dot-com crash and 9/11 sort of recession, with the level at 3 million jobs, job openings out there. Then there was the housing boom and plenty of people were needed to fit marble countertops, and it went to 3, 4, nearly 5 million job openings. 2007 standard crash, down to just over 2 million job openings, and it's gone up through 3 and it's heading towards 4 again. But if you note carefully on the job openings for 2012, that last little part of the chart, it's been flat for 2012. Job openings are not booming. So that's a bit of a sticky bit in the otherwise reasonable outlook. Going back to the M ratio from the St. Louis Fed, civilian employment to population ratio, going back to 1945. And standard, we've been through it many times. 1970, it was kind of at a standard low when only men were working, and then lots of women came into the workforce, and it got itself up to 60, let's call it 65%. Then we got our dot-com crash and 9/11 recession, and it went down to 62, so 65 to 62. Then we got the extra workers coming in for the housing boom, so 62 back up to 63. And this recession, it has gone down to between 58 and 59, and that is where it still is. That's awful jolly bad. So many different ways of looking at these pictures to get a different sort of slant on it. But that is undeniably still very bad. The Financial Times writes about California. Matthew Garam in Los Angeles has got the flavour of California, where California predicts $1 billion budget surplus. After a decade marred by ballooning budget deficits, rising unemployment and swinging cuts in public services, California's economy may have finally turned the corner. And where California goes, America follows. The state was hard hit by the financial crisis, with a rate of mortgage foreclosures and unemployment much higher than the national average. Regular budget deficits forced the state to slash public services, and 2 years ago it even had to offer IOUs to its creditors in lieu of cash. But jobs growth in the Golden State, an economy larger than those of India or Russia, has outpaced the national trend in the US in recent months. California's Legislative Analysis Office is projecting a $1 billion budget surplus by the end of 2014-15 fiscal year, as $6 billion of new tax revenue is due to flood into state coffers after voters passed a staggered increase on individuals and families earning more than $250,000 and $500,000 a year. Now, I think it's a bit of a shame that the FT has been not suckered into that, but are swallowing that sort of information and spewing it out as though it's all going to be nice and wonderful. It's California. It's not. Right. This is the big world, from California out to the big world, from the ILO. Trends in growth in average wages and labour productivity in developed economies. Right. So this is the whole world, but as it says in the bottom, the United States, Japan and Germany with the main amount of labour productivity, that's where the work is being done mainly. They skew the data. But the data is quite clear. The blue line going back to 1999 is the labour productivity increase. And here it says for labour productivity is measured as output per worker. An easier way to understand it is the amount of profit made out of each worker. Because as soon as you say it's labour productivity is output per worker, you've got to work out, well, what's output? Just call it money. Just call it profit. The amount of profit a worker can make. And it's increased from a baseline of 100 in 1999. They've just baselined these things. And has gone up to 115. But the real wage index, the compensation for doing that output, has only gone up to 106. In other words, the companies are making bigger profits because the workers are more efficient, but the workers aren't pro rata getting the money for that efficiency and output. So let's have a look finally at, this is more ILO, figure 8, international comparison of hourly direct pay for time worked in manufacturing across the world in dollars. In 2010 dollars. So in the Philippines, you can get an hourly pay to working in manufacturing for $1.41. You can get a Filipino or Filipina to work for $1.41. Hungary, it's worth setting a factory up there because they're cheap, under $5. Poland under $5, Brazil just over $5. Slovakia 6, Estonia getting more expensive, then the Czech Republic, then Portugal, really quite cheap really in Portugal. Argentina, Singapore still cheap. Greece, Spain, Israel, New Zealand, Japan, getting more expensive now, getting up into the high teens. Italy, and then getting over $20 for an hour. France, socialist, almost communist France, over $20. So let's go to the bottom of the chart. Bung. So France still at the top to make our link at over 20. United Kingdom just about exactly the same price per worker as France. Then Austria a bit more. United States a bit more than that. Then Holland, Belgium, Canada more expensive than the United States. Sweden, more expensive still, then Finland, Germany. Germany, expensive workers, but there are a lot of them working and doing a lot of good work. They are efficient workers. Then Ireland, expensive, strangely. Australia, Switzerland, and then my friends in Denmark at $35 an hour for manufacturing. That's it, a quick walk across employment and remuneration across the world. That's it. Bye.